Hi, first and second graders. Today you're joining me out here in my backyard garden where we're going to talk about the parts of a plant. So we're going to start with the roots. The roots are the part that you really can't see in a plant. Sometimes they start poking up a little bit, but for the most part, roots are hidden under the soil. Well, maybe we can see some roots. What I have here is a contraption where you can see the roots developing because it's like a glass wall where you can kind of see underground what's happening. And in here I planted some beets and I planted some bush beans. I planted some carrot and I also planted some basil. I'm keeping this inside because it's too cold outside right now to grow these crops. But what I'm doing here is, if you see here, it's probably hard to see on the screen yet, but there are some beets growing and I can start to see the little roots happening in the soil here. And so we'll keep an eye on this together and we'll watch as those start developing more and more. So maybe we can get an idea of what those roots look like under the ground. So the roots, they hold the plant down into the soil so that if it's windy or maybe something brushes up against them, that the plant's not going to fly out of the ground. Those roots should hold it down. The other thing that the roots do is they get this water that's deep in the soil and they get nutrients and they bring it up into the rest of the plant. So they take it like a straw and bring it into the next part of the plant that we're going to learn about. So I'm going to move so we can go look at another plant. Let's see. We're going to look here at my tomato plants. Okay, so the roots were below, and then from the ground up is the shoot. The shoot is the rest of the plant that's above the soil. And the first part that we're going to look at is what we call the stem. So the main part here that comes up is the stem. The stem needs to be sturdy to hold the plant upright. And then from the roots, the stem helps carry the nutrients up through the rest of the plant. There we go. There's the stem. And then out from there might be branches. So it's like gets divided even more. And the nutrients from those roots up through the stem goes into those branches. So that's the next part of a plant, is the stem. The next thing we're going to talk about is the leaves. So let's look at a different plant now. I'm going to move my computer so we can look at a different one. These are my green beans. And so here are the leaves. And the leaves are one of the most important parts of the plant. The leaves have a substance in them called chlorophyll that absorbs the sun to make food. So the leaves can make their own food from the sun that goes in them, which is pretty amazing. Leaves also help with taking carbon dioxide and making it into oxygen for us to breathe. So us and plants, we kind of take turns. So we breathe in the oxygen and we breathe out the carbon dioxide. And then the leaves breathe in that carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen, which is a pretty neat thing. Let's go ahead and stay here because I'm seeing on my plant something that we're going to talk about, which is actually we're going to start with the next thing we're going to look at is flower. So we're going to move to a plant that's showing a flower. And we're actually going to start with the bud. So the bud is before it's like a full developed flower. It's like a baby flower and it's being protected in this bud. And the bud is just protecting it from the elements because it's just a baby and it needs protection until it can blossom into its flower. And so there is a flower for you to take a peek at. The flower is the most beautiful part of a plant. It's usually pretty colorful, it might smell good, and it attracts pollinators. Pollinators might be bees or other insects. And we'll learn more about pollinators coming up. Another part of a plant is the fruit. So I'm going to come back to this one we were just looking at, because this one has kind of hiding in here a fruit. And so this is my green bean plant. So the green bean plant would be the fruit for this plant. So that is the vegetable that grows off of this one. And inside of a fruit typically, or the food that grows off of a plant, is a seed. And so inside of this one, my green bean, we will find that there is in fact a seed. There's my seed. Over here on the tomato plant, we have our fruits as well. And so here we have a tomato. These tomatoes are not ripe yet. They're still ripening. And you know, if you open up a tomato, there'll be seeds inside. Some fruits have a little bit of seeds, some have a lot of seeds. So those are the main parts of our plant. We had, again, the roots, which are underground, which you don't really see. And then we have the shoot, which is the part above the ground, which starts with the stem. There might be branches, leaves, then they will be typically some sort of bud, and a bud can turn into a flower. It can also turn into a leaf, so the bud protects a baby leaf or flower. Then there can be the flower, the beautiful part of the plant that attracts pollinators. And then there could be the fruit, and the fruit is usually, for a lot of plants, how they take their seeds to spread to make new plants. I have a little song for you that we're going to do to help us remember the parts of a plant. So we're going to be doing this for the parts of a tree, because we're going to use the word trunk for stem. So let me move my computer to a place where you can see me. Okay, so you probably know the song Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes, and this is just like that, except for we're the parts of a tree. Okay, and so down low would be the roots, and then like the main part of our body is the trunk, and then our arms are branches, and our hands are leaves. So it would go like this. Roots, trunk, branches, leaves, branches, leaves. Root, roots, trunk, branches, leaves, branches, leaves. And then we have buds and flowers and fruit and seeds. And so for that, I just have like a bud, like a little bud, and then it turns into a flower. And then I think of a fruit like I can eat it. Not all fruit you can eat though. Fruit like you can eat, and then seeds like they're dispersing. So again, it's bud and flowers and fruit and seeds. Roots, trunk, branches, leaves, branches, leaves. So if you're trying to think of the parts of a plant, maybe that song will help you. So we'll keep an eye on the roots that I'm growing, and we'll see what they look like next week. Make sure you're watering your plants, your seeds. Check on your little living necklace. Make sure there's a little bit of moisture in there. You should probably start seeing yours. It's doing its germination. You should probably start seeing that sprout coming out soon. Mine is about to, I think. The shell's kind of cracking open right now, so I'm looking forward to that coming out, and I'm looking forward to seeing where are the roots going to grow. All right, so I want you to go and seesaw, and you're going to show me and Angie that you know the parts of a plant. So there's going to be an activity for you in there to work on. All right, have fun.